G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate for another week. It is that time of the week where I'm happiest talking to my mates about sailing. Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. Bar Karate is the action you make when you describe your race with your hands in the bar after racing. That's what we call Bar Karate. My name is Jordan Spencer. Joining me are my good mate, Mr. Brett Perry. How are you, my friend?
Good evening. How you going? Sunday, always a pleasure, Sunday evening.
It is. And the roaming man of the world, Mr. Nick Bice. Where are you, bud?
Jo Napot Baratok. That's, I'm not sure I got the accent quite right, but currently in Hungary. Strictly on business though, but I must admit it's a little hard to concentrate with an F1 car whizzing around the local racetrack. And last week I was putting the bar in Bar Karate in Bali, and this week putting the pest in Budapest, let me tell you that. But if anyone's listening and knows my wife, just I'm actually in Spain, but don't mention anything, okay? I'm here for a mate of mine's 50th birthday party that I promised him, and we're here having a good time. So I'm
a little bit disappointed by. So you're saying she's not a Bar Karate fan? She's not going to get this far into an episode?
Well, it was at least 38 seconds there, so probably not.
This is going to be fun.
About beer and boats.
Yep.
But speaking of beer, special mention.
On
the 2nd of August on Friday, it was International Beer Day. Mm-hmm. So for those that tipped the class, I salute you. It's genius, really. Let's create a day that celebrates what we drink on every other celebration.
Yeah, well, I was in the mighty palace having a beer with some of the legends of Australian sport when that was brought up, and it was quite fitting, really. The glasses were raised for sure.
Yeah, cool.
I salute you.
All right. Good work, gentlemen. All right, so today is going to be a slightly different one. We're going to have a special guest that's going to stick with us the whole way through. Just before we get to that special guest, one of our great friends, the answer to the quiz question, in which country are Panama hats made? The answer is Ecuador. Now, I've worked out there's too many people rushing straight to Google and getting the answer up there straight away, so I'm going to change the whole format of this at the end. I haven't told the others how I'm going to do it, but it's going to be much better. Phil Yeoman sent me a text basically straight away. I'm going to smash that on the head. I don't want anyone texting me. But Tim Colleen, who's first on Facebook, so he took time away from building the New Zealand America's Cup boat, and if something breaks, Tim was answering our question at the time, so put pressure on him there.
Forgot to take the peel ply off.
That's right.
I was listening to Bar Karate.
That's good. All right, team. Let's bring in our guest. It is a real pleasure to introduce a gentleman by the name of Alistair Murray, AM. He is the chairman of Ronstan, and Ronstan are not paying for this. We just love Alistair as a bloke. And he is the chairman of Australian Sailing and an all-round great guy, and we just thought people would love to hear from him. If you haven't met the guy, this is a chance to get to know one of the great men of sailing. Alistair, welcome to Bar Karate.
Thanks very much, Jordan. It's absolutely an honour and a pleasure to be on Bar Karate. Looking forward to the chat, and I'm fully prepared for the question at the end. What is the most unusual event from the Olympics? So I'm ready to roll on that as well.
Gotcha.
Giving me away.
Yeah.
Fully
prepared.
I'll talk about the logic of it later on. All right. Okay, mate. So we'll just randomly hit you. We'll just do a bit of Q&A with you first up, and then we'll roll in and you can contribute to everything that's happened this week. Alistair, how did you get started in sailing?
When I was a kid, when I was 10, I didn't start as young as a lot of kids do in opties and whatever, but when I was 10 years old, my family moved to the seaside suburb of Williamstown, and I joined the Sea Scouts. And I started to just play around in boats, rowing and sculling and sailing and just having fun on the water for the first 5 or 6 years. And then when I was 16, my dad bought a Corsair dinghy for the family, and my father and my brother and I used to race that together. So I didn't actually sail on my first race until I was 16. But the best thing about that was that my brother is Andrew, I'm Alistair, and my father's Alan. So I used to sign on as A. Murray, and A. Murray. And when my father was asked why I was the skipper and he was in the middle and my brother was at the front of the boat, his answer was somebody had to sit between you to keep you apart because we used to fight so much.
Yeah.
So that's how I started anyway.
Right, the old course
And
there. Hey?
ironically, you now have an AM after your name.
It's just really official permission to use my own initials.
It's great, isn't it?
Nothing more than that. But yes, I do, yeah.
So just while we do that, because that's a pretty cool recognition. So that's the member. It's a member of the Order of Australia. So does that mean, like, is that officially, if we were still under British honours, would you be Sir Alistair Murray?
No, it'd be like an OBE, not a knighthood.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. Jeez, man, I'm not that important.
Oh, well, we think so.
Yeah, I
Ben
know.
Ainsley's, thank you, Bossy. So Ben Ainsley's the only knight I know in our sphere.
Oh, Sir James, the great Sir James.
Sir James, of course. I can't believe I missed that one.
He's a great man.
He's my sailing hero, Sir James.
Yeah, well, he's a great sailor and he's a great guy too, and he just gives and gives. He's a bit like you, Alistair, so it must be something in that sort of that thing. That I wonder why none of us three have been awarded honours then. It must be because we're arseholes.
No,
it's
pretty much. It's coming. It's coming. Barkarati's coming.
Exactly. You're younger. You haven't got there yet.
Oh, thanks for saying that. So how did you get the job in Ronstan, mate?
So when I graduated high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and I hung around the house for a few months when I was 18 years old, and I deferred a uni course, and my mum got sick of me hanging around the house, and she found a job advertisement in a chandlery, and because of my love of sailing, I went and worked in a chandlery and did that for a couple of years and absolutely loved it. Just loved being with sailors and talking sailing products and just being in that field. And one day the Ronstan rep was visiting, and he said that he was being promoted and that I'm looking for a sales rep. And I thought, this is when I was 20 years old actually, and I thought, well, that would be like the dream job for a young bloke like me, driving around in the car and seeing all your mates and talking about how they went in the racing on the weekend and just really, playing with fittings and stuff. And I just thought that was a dream come true. So I went along and was interviewed by Ronstan and started as a rep. And in a very short time, the guy that had hired me was sacked, so I started to move up pretty quickly.
Oh, wow. Wow. The whole Ronstan thing, that is one of the greatest naming conventions in the history of naming a business, isn't it?
Well, I heard you guys making fun of it last week. I actually thought it was brilliant. Thank you. I think it was Brett that did the tribute to Ron, and that meant a lot to me because he meant so much to me. But I loved your banter about the way we named our companies. We got out a slide rule, was it, and came up with Ronstan. They're very imaginative engineers, and I think that's pretty good. And I actually had the question to ask you how you came up with bar karate, but you answered it in the introduction.
Yeah.
Those hand signals that people are making in the bar when they're describing the race for the day.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, but Ron and Stan, great guys, and I started with them in 1976. It was actually the 16th of April, 1976, and I retired as managing director on the 16th of April, 2016, 40 years to the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an amazing sort of legacy, I guess. Not just from Ron and Stan, but yourself. The name Ronstan is a part of everyone's sort of sailing. But you have to say that what a fantastic company to have survived that long, but go through the ups and downs of the world financial sort of situations as well. Yes,
Brett. It's funny you should say that because. If I'm asked ever to come up with sort of what our greatest achievement was along the journey, I mean, we've had many milestones, but as a manager, because I was the CEO at the time, I consider our best achievement, our proudest achievement, was actually surviving the global financial crisis. But because we 70% of our business is overseas, and the market crashed and the dollar went ballistic. At the time, you might remember, it went to $1.10 from 72 cents. So we actually became 60% more expensive into a market of half the size overnight. And we survived that. And I thought to survive it and to come out of it and end up big and strong and going well again was probably the thing I'm most proud of.
Yeah, well, it shows the strength of the company the backbone, if you like. But the first thing that disappears in those financial crises, if you like, is the recreation side of things, and that's the first area people tighten their belts, if you like, and to pull through that is a massive effort. Yeah, you're right.
Thank you. When I retired, I had 8 people reporting to me, and the average tenure of those 8 people was 26 years. That was the average. So every one of those team lived right through that, and they're all still there, except for one other who's retired. But yeah, a tight-knit team of great friends, and that's what got us through, is the culture of the place.
It's a dream, that.
Very proud of it.
Because I know you actually built a new factory based in Australia at that time. You just built a new factory to make even newer and better products. So it was beyond just the fact that you just were running the company as it was. You also had this major new factory that the funding of that at the same time must have been incredible.
That was bad timing, Jordan, because we probably set up that factory at exactly the moment that we should have been going offshore to manufacture. So we made this major investment in a factory. The market crashed, the dollar went ballistic, and we very quickly realised that we needed an offshore manufacturing component somewhere. I mean, every really successful manufacturing company has a significant proportion of its production done in a lower labour cost environment. So we set up within months of moving to our new factory, we decided we needed to be offshore, and we kicked that project off. And we now have 3 factories. We have Melbourne still operating, we have Denmark, and we have Indonesia. And we set Indonesia up for that reason. And Indonesia is where the high volume stuff is made.
Oh, cool. That's that's a lot of detail to give. Appreciate that. So I guess the thing that interests me when you were talking about the culture of people hanging around, I want to touch on that, but something's just popped into my head as I'm speaking that I'll just get it out before I forget it. We should put a thing on the Facebook to come up with a combination of names of mates who come up with the best name for a potential company name. People just throw that up there.
Yeah. Well, I heard Bicey refer to Harry and Ken for Harkin, and I must admit, I'd come up with that one previously and have used that, Bicey. So I won't say you're not original, because I'm sure you did come up with it, but I've come up with it as well. I reckon that would be pretty funny.
And you are good mates with Pete, aren't you, as well? So let's just get that out there. Pete Harkin, so there's no animosity between you two blokes at all, are there? Is there?
Mate, he and I are close friends. I've stayed at his house. We've shared hotel rooms. We've travelled together. We're the best of mates. I visited him at his brand new house in Wisconsin just last year, and I thought I'd take the old boy on in the bar. And,
good luck
in his bar, because he's got he's got a sensational collection of grog, and we went toe to toe.
Had a sensational collection of grog.
We went toe to toe from midnight, and there was 6 of us at midnight at his bar. At 1 o'clock there was 5 of us. At 2 o'clock there was 4 of us. At 3 o'clock it was just Peter and myself. And at 3:30 I hit the wall. So I'd have to say he beat me.
You might have to tap Bicey in next time.
Yeah.
How do you create that culture, mate? Like that's so Bicey obviously ran the boatyard, which I was part of in the ocean race, and the culture there was just amazing. And clearly that culture at Ronstan exists as well. So how do you create that culture?
I think to me, Jordan, communication is probably the biggest part of it. I've always been very open with all of the employees. I spend a lot of time with them. I get to know them. In my diary every week, I had it actually in my diary, factory tour, Monday morning, all morning in the diary. And people say, well, why did you have it in your diary? because it's not that hard to forget, right?
Yeah.
Well, the reason is I wanted the discipline of not scheduling anything else over the top of that. So Monday mornings were blocked out. I would walk out in the factory. I would spend time with the employees, ask them how their weekends were, how their families were, what they're doing, just getting to know them. And as far as communication goes, just involving them in business planning, sharing the results with them, sharing the business plan with them on an ongoing basis, every employee, communicating with a customer base very closely. I would have to say that communication and involvement would be probably the things I concentrated on the most. And what you do out of all of that is develop wonderful relationships, and it's the relationships at the end of the day that keep you going and make it fun to be there.
Any response, Bossy?
You need to make it fun for starters, and one of something that I tried doing, and it sounds very similar with the boatyard and with Ronstan, is that communication then creates the relationships, and then you almost feel as though, well, you are part of a family. And that, I think, is key, especially in our industry. And I often refer people getting a little bit stressed out here and there, and especially with the Volvo Ocean Race or something, you just remind them, it's just a yacht race here, guys. We're not curing cancer or anything, but what we are doing is we are all working as one. We're creating a nice family, and we want to have fun doing it. Otherwise, it's not worth doing.
Yeah, well said, Bossy. You spend far too much time at work to be miserable. And I've had quite a few conversations with people that were not happy along the way. And I said, look, if you're not happy here, and you can't see yourself being happy here, do us both a favour and go and find something else. Like, find something that's going to tick your boxes and that works for you. And at the end of the day, you'll be doing us a favour and you a favour by doing so. I mean, it doesn't work for everybody being part of our company, but for those that do, it works. It's fantastic. It's been a wonderful journey. But along the way, people have left for their whatever reasons they've had, and I'm sure they've been the right reasons.
Yeah, cool.
Here.
Very good words.
Alistair, now, we, particularly Nick and I, bump into you quite a bit at sailing events, obviously. But we probably bump into you more at cycling events these days.
Yeah.
We're both passionate cyclists, not that you tell by our physiques, but we just like watching it nowadays, I think. But you're mad for it, mate.
Absolutely. I'm now getting some good night's sleep again now that the tour's over. I thought that was one of the best tours I've seen in many, many years. The fact that 3 days out from the end you didn't know who was going to win, that was so much more exciting than the foregone conclusion, which it often is. I rode 10,000 Ks last year, 10,000 Ks the year before. I'm passionate about my cycling. It keeps me young. I have great adventures. I've got great cycling buddies. It means a lot to me, and I really enjoy it. Really enjoy it.
I actually had as one of my questions here is, what does your typical day look like now that you've retired and you're not going into the office on a 9-to-5 basis? But I can pretty much tell you what the beginning looks like, and that's rolling down to your shed, pumping the tyres up, and get out on the bike.
Yes, Bossy, I did wonder. I retired 3 years ago, and I thought, well, I wonder if I'm still going to get up as early as I used to. And the answer is I do. I ride about 5 mornings a week, meet my mates at 6 o'clock, and so that's what gets me out of bed. But the biggest difference, I think, from being retired and having to work that sort of 8 till 6 every day with the team is that I've got the ultimate flexibility. I don't have to get up. So as much as I love my cycling, I've got to tell you that I enjoy the sound of rain on the roof even more. because if I wake up and it's 5:30 and it's raining, I go, well, there you go. There's my sleep in, which I wouldn't have done if I was going to work.
Does Tracy still work?
No,
okay.
we're retired together. Well, she does a bit of subcontract, a bit of freelance bookkeeping, but that's it.
Okay, all right. Now I want to just sort of roll on to another role that you have, which is you're chairman of Australian Sailing, correct?
No, I'm a board member.
Board member.
No,
sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, not chairman. That's Matt Allen.
Oh, of course.
Itchy Barn fame.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, I'm the next generation coming through. Even though I'm older than him, I'm hopefully on the way up at Australian Sailing, and I'm really enjoying that role. I figure that following a lifelong career in sailing, a business that's put the bread on the table for me and my family, that's given me a lot of great times, that's seen me travel around the world and develop wonderful relationships, and it's been the sport and the hobby, the recreation that I've enjoyed so much. It's a great time to put back in, and being retired, I have the time to do that, and I have the inclination and the passion and the energy, and I'm loving being a board member of Australian Sailing. I've in the last 6 weeks alone, I've been to every state of Australia to attend the Australian Sailing state conferences, and I present at those and meet all the yacht club folks and get out and about. It's really important to me.
Very cool. And
what for the future of the Australian sailing, what's do you see as your biggest challenges there, or what are you as a board concentrating on the most?
It's a good question. Australian sailing is really you'd have to divide its major functions pretty fairly down the middle, and say that we are about performance and we're about participation. And if you look at performance, I mean, I follow the Olympics. I love Australia winning medals. I love all of that. I mean, I'm very much into the performance side of sailing. But it really worries me that if you look at any of our Olympic classes, at the top of the pyramid, we're desperately skinny. I mean, we have one or two unbelievable champions, and then nothing in some of the classes. In other classes, we don't have world competitive people, and in some classes, like the sailboards, for example, we have nobody. Now, for a country like Australia that has such fantastic weather and coastline and the sailing culture, that's pretty poor. And I just feel that if we make our emphasis participation, which is what my real platform is, if we can expand the base, get more people sailing, have it become a mainstream sport, have the sailing heroes recognised as sporting stars, have double, treble, quadruple the base, performance will take care of itself.
Correct.
We will just be more successful. So I would have to say that the Australian sailing concentrates on both. But my personal priority is participation growth.
We're singing from the same hymn sheet. Sorry, Brett.
Alistair, you just mentioned that it's desperately skinny at the top end. Do you think if Jordan, myself, and Bicey sort of got a bit more active, we'd be able to fill that gap a bit?
We're too big for the Olympics, mate.
What boat are we? What boat are we going to put you into? The fin's gone.
Well, Sharpie might be all right.
You want me to sort of support your campaign to have the Sharpie introduced as the next Olympic class? I'll be happy to do that just to see you boys out there. I think you'd brain it. Yep, that'd be good.
We already know. We know we're good. We just don't bother showing up now. We just bask in our own minds.
You're like me.
We just talk. We
the older
talk about it on Sunday nights.
That we used to be.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a good question, Boss. You got any more on that front, or are we good there?
Well, yeah, we can just delving into that a little deeper. Last week I spoke a little bit about the pathways for young kids to get into the ocean race. But do you have any advice for the younger generation who are kind of teetering on the edge, just to take their next steps, whether it be from Optimus up or up to that next level? Just to keep them, not necessarily advice, but maybe some strategies to ensure that they stay in the sport.
Yeah, I think first, Vicey, they need to decide what they want. There's people that see a career in sailing, and when you see the Slingsbys and the Outridges of this world, I mean, you can make a lot of money, and a few guys have done that. But it's like any sport, it's a pretty small top of the pyramid, and to hope to make a living out of sailing is a leap of faith. To do so, you've got to be really working hard from a young age to develop your contacts, meet all the people, particularly perhaps in the sailing industry, going to trade shows, travelling, getting out and about amongst the regattas. If it's sailing itself, meeting as many of the great sailors as you can, networking, connecting, just being out there and soaking it up. If it's not a career you're after and you just want to further your own sailing ambitions and develop a career along some other path, well, then it's more about involvement in the sport itself, going to as many regattas as you can, listening to the champions, soaking it up as well. But really, guys like you, Bicey, that make a living out of it, I really admire that. And I'd have to say that probably your greatest asset is the enthusiasm you got for it and the base you've built up of people. It's the same in anything. You've got to get out there and meet them, question them, learn, circulate, become known yourself, and hopefully a pathway will open for you.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And it was actually Knut Frostad told me once that he's done MBAs and he's done university degrees and all sorts of things, but the biggest asset that he found from his yacht racing career was the network that he built and how he could leverage on those relationships.
Yes, I have quite a few people in the industry, like in manufacturing and in the sailing industry, products and services itself, and they ask me, how do I get started? And the advice you would get from Austrade would be to do heaps and heaps and heaps of desk research. I don't go along with that. I say just go to a trade show. Just get off your bum and travel, get overseas and go to a trade show and meet people. And from that, you just don't know what doors are going to open. Sure, the research is all part of it, but don't get it the wrong way around. Get out there and circulate and meet people. And there's some amazing people out there.
Very cool.
That can be your mentors in business and in life.
Yep, totally agree.
And it's a fun way of doing it too. It's more fun.
Yeah. So you get to drink with Peter Harkin.
Yeah. All right. I did just think at one point with the Australian team, like I 100% I screamed the same message. The participation thing is got to be the key. But I was thinking, I do a little bit of coaching, and a lot of the kids coming up into the youth just are too big for the boats in the youth already. So we're sizing out of the classes, and obviously, it happened to me back in the FD days, and now it's happening to a lot of people in the fin. So that's gone. What do you think about that? And then also, what about the double-handed class that's going to come in? How do you feel about that, the offshore?
It's a very tough situation, the Equipment Selection Committee. I mean, World Sailing cops are caning from a lot of people, but they were really backed up against the wall on this. Sarah Kenny, who heads up that Equipment Selection Committee, has talked to me a lot about this, and the demands from from the Olympic Federation were so strongly geared towards total gender equity and a variety of classes to make sailing seem to be exciting and accessible and different, and to continue with a fin and in both classes of 470 was going to be something that many fin sailors and many 470 sailors were very, very passionate about, and of course they are, because it means so much to them. But there was not really a lot of options, and from that point of view, I can't say that I go along with everything that World Sailing does, but in this particular case, the 470 as a mixed class is probably not a bad compromise to keep the boat involved. I think the double-handed offshore class is going to be a pretty exciting thing. It can be very, very interesting. Yep. And the fin, I just feel desperately sorry for them, because, I know that there's a lot of big guys that would look at it and look at the Olympics and go, well, we're, as you say, Jordan, sized out. It's tough. It's really tough. But it wasn't possible to keep everybody happy. And I'm looking forward to seeing that offshore class. I think that could be, when the boat's selected, could be an exciting thing.
Yep, I agree. I know there's a lot of financial reasons as well that benefit it. I do have a solution for the Olympics. I think we just drop all the classes and put the 5.0 in and 5.05. And
now, why would you say that?
I don't know.
You're not biased.
Hey.
Yeah. He just wants his photo taken.
My favourite athletic event to watch is the marathon, because I love watching the strategy, the surges, the way people come on strong and then fade, and the way they psych each other out, and it's so wonderful to watch because it pans out.
Yep.
And I think that along an offshore double-handed keelboat race where you can tune into it and follow it and see how it's going from time to time, I think that can be fascinating.
Well, we see the viewing numbers with the Volvo Ocean race, particularly those last few legs of this race. It was just insane. And when we were running from one port to get to where we were in Sweden, we had to get to The Hague. We're just in the airport there. I think we're having a quiet beer in the airport, and everywhere we looked, everyone was on their phones watching the Volvo Ocean race. It was insane. It was absolutely
fantastic.
Insane. I think at one point there, the tech guys were telling us over 1 million people were viewing the app at any one time.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Guys, what I'd like to do is actually sort of roll on and just, Alistair, you're staying with us, mate. We're going to have your contribution. So I'll throw a few topics out there. You've actually seen some of the topics, and Are you guys happy to just sort of keep rolling on? Talk a little bit about what's been going on?
Great.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So, first off, the first item I'd like to roll into is we've been talking about it a bit, the laser vote. Obviously, that was to be done by the end of July. We're into the first few days of August. What happened? Want to know what happened? I thought I had an inside bit today. I bumped into Mitch Kennedy and his beautiful partner, Sarah. For those who don't know, Mitch is an Australian sailing team member in the laser. And I thought, Mitch will know. I'll just go and ask him. But he was about as useful as a concrete aeroplane. He had no information. So does anybody know anything?
Not from here. I've been doing some deep research here in Hungary, but haven't found anything.
I've got nothing new either, boys.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got to say, it hasn't been on my radar either.
I know something. I heard a rumour. This is purely a rumour, so it's all alleged. Okay, there has been a huge voter turnout. Yep, huge voter turnout, and an overwhelming yes vote is what I've heard to decouple the class from the trademark holders. So that could be quite significant. So for all those laser sailors out there who are planning, particularly we've just had the Laser Youth Worlds. If they're planning to go in 2024, you can probably stay in the laser and keep focusing on that. But that is no more information than that, though I can see some major problems because the Laser Performance Company, who probably supply 80% of lasers and laser equipment around the world, haven't been reinstated as a builder. There's still the dispute between the laser class and them. So I can see all sorts of legal action and all sorts of problems. And I can also see problems because the way they did the vote was like on a survey thing, Survey Monkey. And my dad ran the Commonwealth Electoral Commission in South Australia. And so I've grown up with correct voting procedures and knowing how doing things. I can see all sorts of problems coming from the way they ran the vote. So I think likely it's been accepted on the rumour. I can see lots more problems ahead. That's my fear. Anybody have anything else?
Jordan, I think it's ironic that when you look at the selection trials they ran, the RS Aero is so well backed commercially, and it's done so well in the early days. I mean, it weighs so much less than a laser. It's got a lot going for it. The Melgis 14, I think, is a cool looking little boat.
Yep.
The Devoti D0 I don't know much about, but the laser absolutely brained it in the vote simply because of its worldwide coverage. I mean, everybody sails them in every country, and I think it's ironic that the class which is in the most disarray by far was the one that got the vote.
Yeah,
and all they've been doing is struggling since to convince the world that they're going to be there in a form that is going to be viable. But I'm sure they'll find a way.
it's like one of those puppet shows, where they bash each other all the time. It's like watching one of those at the moment.
Bit of punch and Judy.
That's it. That's the word I was looking for. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I must admit, I've sailed the RS in the laser. That's about the only two boats. And I can say the RS is a much more sailable boat. Like it's a significant move on and really controllable rig. So I was quite surprised that the M&As didn't jump up. But as you said, everyone's so invested in the laser. So, but yeah, the Punch and Judy show, I suspect, will continue on. All right. Discussion points. Hang on, Alistair, we'll do the old transition. You ready for this? This is pro. Good little bass line there. Discussion points, guys. First one I want to throw out. Greta Thunberg will sail from Europe to New York to the New York Climate Summit in a zero carbon yacht. Do you want me to? Can I explain that? So Greta is
It's very soft. It's a very soft boat.
Yeah. Yes, good work. Love it, BP. So Greta is a 16-year-old environmental messenger, I guess, from, I think she's Swedish, and won't fly on an aeroplane because of the greenhouse gas emissions, so has elected to go on a zero carbon yacht. I have some horrible news for you, Greta. There is a shed load of carbon and waste that comes off building an IMOCA 60. So it's not zero carbon, but I've got one question. I've got a lot of questions. How is she going to handle it? I'm interested how a 16-year-old's going to enjoy sailing across the Atlantic.
Well, from the photo we saw, she's got her wet weather gear there. She's wearing my sou'wester, so she's invested in the best gear. So she's going to be pretty good with the weather gear.
The Don McIntyre approved wet weather gear. It meets the criteria.
That's it. Yep.
Look, I think she's pretty standard, and it's very similar to even talking about the Clipper and what have you, that she'll either love it or hating it, and she'll be rolling around in the bilge just wishing a helicopter could come and get her off. And I wonder if the zero carbon emissions stand will actually be as strong at that point in time, or she'll be doing the or just loving life and enjoying it. Yeah.
Well, let's hope she gets that one.
Well, I hope she enjoys it too, because I don't think there's zero emission helicopters that can fly that far, or helicopters with electric engines for that matter.
I do want to. I guess the reason I wanted to bring this one up, Brett spotted this, BP. So this is all BP's idea, this topic, which is great. There's a couple of things that I just wanted to bring to people's attention, because to say building a boat is a zero carbon, it's crazy. You know, like we do utilise a lot of resources when we're building boats, particularly one-offs. And the boat that she's sailing on is our good mate Boris's boat, Melitza. There is a company called Marine Shift 360, which is, I believe, underwritten by 11th Hour, which is a foundation designed to try and change the way we do business and save the world and the environment. And they're developing a life cycle assessment tool. And I can tell you there's a huge amount of work gone into the assessment tool is telling you the amount of carbon emissions that you will make over the life cycle of that boat, building a boat. And there's a huge amount of work gone into it. The companies that have been involved have given up a lot of time to help this. But if you want to find out about that one, Marine Shift 360 is something to have a look at. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that there's going to be a summit at the Genoa Boat Show talking about trying to remove waste and reduce our use of resources when building these boats. And there's a lot of work going into that. I know all about this because I'm actually hosting the summit. So I'm really looking forward. We're going to get all the best boat builders, race boat builders together. We'll get the aerospace industry. We'll get the automobile industry. We're reaching out far and wide to come up with ideas to make our boats have less of an impact on the world. We're actually trying to get that whole full circular economy thing going, which is good. So good is coming out of that.
Would you could? I've been thinking about this for quite a few years now. Now, reality is the amount or the carbon footprint that is produced from building one of these boats is pretty minimal compared to aeronautical, the space race, all that sort of thing. Mm. But we definitely get more exposure. So to actually use the boats to tell the story, that probably has a much bigger impact. Say we call it carbon fibre, just as one of the materials, and the marine industry would use maybe 2 or 3% of the worldwide production.
Sure.
But we have these boats that can race around the world and tell the story and have a much bigger impact from that point of view. So,
critically speaking, it's because. Sorry, Bossy. Just say critically speaking, it's because we're actually we're on the ocean, and they're probably getting a first-hand view of it. When you look at all the other carbon sort of users, I guess, space and all that stuff, there's space junk. But when you're out there on the ocean, which is ours, and they're bumping into things and they're seeing it out there, they're getting the point across like that, which is what it's all about.
I guess once the product's been built, we don't need to use any fuel to actually go somewhere and do something. So, you can be out there and you can charge from the water, you can charge from the air. You can charge from the sun, and you can just go sailing, putting up sails. It's nothing better than putting a sail up and sheeting on and going. It's nothing better. I love it. So,
sure. And we give Greta Thunberg the opportunity to get her face plastered all over the internet. It's not like she can get in a spaceship and fly off into space or something like that.
No. Alistair?
Yeah, Jordan, I think it's great that you're chairing that summit. I think it's a wonderful initiative, and we're so close to our environment. Being on the water, and there's some scary things being seen around the world. I think it's terrible, but I think Bicey makes a pretty good point when he makes the comparison with aeronautics.
Mm-hmm.
Like flying internationally. I mean, we're living in a changing world, and it's just going to change at a greater rate of knots. And I believe that we have lived in the golden age of travel. The four of us have travelled around the world, so many times and done what we've done, because I think it's going to become. I think air travel could become the new smoking. In 20 or 30 years, it could be like a politically incorrect thing to do, and that there might be a boom in domestic travel because people just won't want millions of people in the air at any one time. I think we're in a changing world, and it's going to be really interesting. And I think the most obvious thing that's going to happen with air travel, and I know I'm a bit off topic here, but it's the only way they're going to slow it down, and it's the same way as they're going to slow down tourism to the overpopulated tourist spots like Venice and the Eiffel Tower and others that are not getting any bigger, but getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger crowds to them. Is just put the prices up, and they'll just price it out of existence to discourage people from doing it. So we're in a changing world, and as far as the marine environment goes, anything the sailing industry can do to show the way, raise awareness, be more responsible ourselves is a good thing.
Yeah. Also, remember Paolo Mirapuri, who's put a boat in for the next Volvo. He actually owns an airline company, and he reckons his company will be carbon neutral by 2021. So maybe that's maybe we're getting to a space where you can do it.
What's he doing? Selling all his planes?
Oh dear. Hey, we're funny. Well, we have all our meetings every weekly, and we're always different parts of the world, so it's good.
No. It's a big push actually in the Ocean Race team, for example, with the sustainability awareness that they want to create. That there is a big push to stop people flying as much as they can, which, like you say, Alistair, it's going to become common practice here, all of us, pretty soon, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's flying under the radar a little bit is the shipping industry as well. The footprint that industry puts out is massive. There's a big push now for ulterior forms of propulsion that's been going on for quite a while. I can't remember offhand the amount of money that's spent each year trying to work that out. I mean, we've done a bit of research there. And get wind propulsion back into shipping, and you can increase by just small percentages and a massive decrease in footprint. It's across the globe. There's lots of different industries that are looking at it, and that's probably a good thing. And that's probably good for this young Greta Thunberg for us to be talking about it now. Yeah. She's achieved her goal.
Catalyst.
Well done, Greta.
Yeah. Right. Well, talking of troubles, I'm not sure how we're going to discuss this one. I might have to keep my mouth very quiet on this one. The ocean race is going to Asia somewhere, China or Hong Kong. And they always go to Africa as well. So we're not going to get political, but holy crap, are they going to go to...
Someone's getting political in Hong Kong.
Hey, listen, I'm not gonna get political, and I'm not gonna get too sort of heavy into it. But I've sort of been thinking about it a bit, and I've sort of got this bit of analogy. And you've got Afghanistan and Pakistan playing World Cup cricket while their countries are getting torn apart by these wars and whatnot that's going on. So they're in the face of it. They're still performing. Then you've got Iran, Iraq, Syria still going to World Cup soccer tournaments, while their area is getting blown apart. So why shouldn't yachting get amongst it and get up to China or wherever they're going to, and get to these conflict regions just to sort of add a bit of spice?
Well, There's no war there
cricket players in those countries get recruited for their good overarm. They're pretty good at throwing grenades.
Oh, come on.
High accuracy.
Good on you, Bossy.
Oh dear.
Hey.
So what you're saying, Jordan, if we took the traditional Volvo Ocean racetrack, or say last edition's racetrack,
Yes, let's go that
the
way.
race
Let's say it
went
like
to
that.
Cape Town,
Yes.
which is currently, whilst we were there, we're on the verge of a massive water crisis, which is even getting worse now.
Yep.
And there's a lot of crime creeping back into South Africa. And then to go to Hong Kong also, which if anyone's ever seen the news in the last couple of weeks, she's full noise there as well. So you'd say it's a little unstable.
Well, absolutely, and the ocean race is due to announce its route in the next month or so. Obviously they're trying to nail these issues down before they can announce it. So,
bit of pressure, I would say.
Bit of pressure, but we're not saying that things are going to fall apart. But I think we all sense that things are getting pretty tense in that region. Is that a good way of saying it?
Oh, without a doubt.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you were given a chance, no, I can't even go there. I don't want.
Come on.
No. I think I'll pass. But I just think it must be nervous times when planning a route to go to Hong Kong and China. I just hope things get sorted out there because it's a crazy town. The race would like to go there, obviously for commercial reasons, because there's a lot happens in that region. So it's a very busy part of the world. And, we live in the region, so, we go there for business. Bossy, you and I go in there for business quite a bit. So a bit nerve-wracking at the moment.
I'm guessing any sporting event kind of drops down the list from a priority point of view, whilst you've got such big political unrest going on. So
crazy town.
Maybe it's back to just skipping Asia altogether and traditional Southern Ocean.
I guess that's why we brought it up.
To that, my friends.
Yes. That's why we brought it up. It's going to be interesting. It must be hard for the ocean race to plan their route at the moment is, I guess, what we're trying to talk about. Shall we move on before we get in too much trouble on that one? Alistair, I feel like we've been talking mature, grown-up things since you've been on here, mate. I think it's all your fault. We normally just talk about beer and stupid things.
Well, I'm happy for you to have some fun.
Okay. Well, there was a book released this week, One Girl Dream. It's the story of Laura Decker, who has become the youngest person to sail around the world solo. She knocked off, obviously, a friend of ours, Jessica Watson. Alistair, you're mates with Jessica as well as us. In fact, the last time we saw Jessica, we were drinking beers and she wasn't.
Yeah. I'm good friends with Jessica and do love her. She lives very close by and I see her quite often. When I look at, I remember this very clearly because I remember Laura Decker being, I remember the Dutch courts stepping in and preventing her from going in the first place, and then there was some action through the courts that led to it being released. But and at the time, thinking as a father of three girls, I can't imagine what I would say if my 15-year-old daughter came to me and said, I want to sail around the world. I'm sure I would say no.
Wow.
Anyway, Laura Decker and Jessica Watson both managed to go off and do it. But I just want to make a couple of points here. Laura, we talk about her knocking her off the perch. Laura Decker actually didn't do it non-stop.
Correct.
Laura Decker took 518 days and kept stopping.
Yep.
And Jessica took 210 days, which was a lot less. But also, I'm not sure a lot of people know this, but I think Jessica was probably poorly advised. Her circumnavigation was actually too short to be considered a circumnavigation because you think of the extreme. If you sail around the world, around the Antarctic, you've done a pretty small circuit. You've got to go north a certain number of miles above the equator to reach a certain point. To reach the 21,000 nautical miles that's required for it to be considered a true circumnavigation, she didn't do it. And she only had to head up there for 3 or 4 days from where she was and she would have completed it. Somebody should have told her that should have been part of it.
That's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
At the end of the day, the end of the day, her effort was fantastic. Laura Decker's was fantastic. It is great. And let's not lessen the achievements. But let me just say, Laura didn't do it non-stop, and Jessica technically didn't complete a circumnavigation. But interesting stories.
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier, about how they leave, the 16-year-old girls or boys, whoever decides to take it on, and then they get to the end and they're a completely different person and they have the ability to tell these stories. And I think that's part of what we were talking about, earlier. They probably leave relatively naive, if you like, as to what can actually happen out there, and they experience some to some extent some things. So I like to say that they're a lot. Most of these guys are either lucky or completely stupid, one of the two. But
I'll tell you which one. I'll tell you which one of those I was in with my first Volvo Ocean race. We were a bunch of young guys, completely naive, and it certainly approached it a lot different. So I can exactly relate to what you're saying there, mate.
Well, I guess that...
Yeah, I can, sorry, just to finish off before I go, the whole, being out there, and it doesn't take much for a storm to catch them up or anything. Is to head north for 500 miles is a big plan, and if you've got the information, it's great. But if you're out there and you're stuck in it, the ocean can bite you. We all know that.
Mm.
That's why you go on an SNS 34.
Oh, I was just going to...
You'll go anywhere.
That's it. There it is, right there.
So Jessica Watson, SNS 34, Jesse Martin, who was the youngest before, another Australian, SNS 34, and then, of course, John Sanders. He went around and around and around and around and around and around and around. He's moved on, but he was at SNS 34 originally.
He's moved on.
He's updated.
Different boat.
Yeah, he's updated. He's still going around.
Obviously a wonderful boat. Obviously a wonderful boat to do it in, and I don't think it lessens the achievement because they go so slowly. It takes you a lot longer to do it. So that makes it a big achievement in itself.
And they're just as quick upside down as up right way up.
Mate, they are one of the nicest boats to sail on. In regards to
the VB Express,
long bilge, etc. I think there's one down at the CYC, like a fully restored one, right? BP, an SNS 34, in Sydney. So
Sydney. I'm sure there
remember
is.
seeing
there is actually.
But just second behind the VB Express.
I think the VB Express would be the next one to get around, I reckon.
Yeah. All right. So the question is, how young is too young? Like, do we stop it now? Like, is it getting too young? Is it getting silly?
Well, they stepped in and refused to acknowledge it as a record. I'm not sure what is officially, but they removed it as a record to be aimed for. That the youngest circumnavigations were canned.
Yep.
They're not recognised anymore, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's fantastic that Jessica and Laura and Jessie did what they did. I think it's amazing, and Jessica's, as I said, a great girl and wonderfully well adjusted and whatever. But I just know that if I was a parent and my child wanted to do that, and let's just say they've got an 18, let's say at a 9 out of 10 chance of getting around, of actually surviving it. That's a 10% chance that they're not going to, and that's your kid.
Yep.
I wouldn't accept that.
Well,
I think you'll find that they're pretty. And Jessica Watson, and all of you do. So you'd have to say that these kids are pretty. Would the word stubborn and no, Dad, I'm going attitude come into that at all? Sure. I've got two young girls, and that's they get what they want.
I can say 100% with accuracy. My father had this problem because I read the Robin Lee Graham's book about his voyage on the Dove when I was a young fella. I was about 12 or 13, and I remember I just mowed the lawn and I was coming in the front door, and Dad had just pulled up from somewhere, and so a 13-year-old kid, and I said, Dad, I think I could be the youngest person to sail around the world. What do you reckon? We should get a boat and see if I could do it. And he's just going, shut up, you idiot. You're not doing it.
Yeah.
It's a great parenting moment.
My granddaughter's 3 and she does whatever she wants.
It sounds like Bicey.
So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but I'm 40 and I do whatever I want.
Yeah, 3 might be a bit young though, Alistair.
It'd save you on the side of the boat though. It'd be pretty cheap to send it whatever boat you pick.
Just an Opti or a Sabo.
All right. We're having fun. Any Secret Pro news? Quick one.
No Secret Pro this week. I think the Secret Pro was a little bit busy. Yep. So if anyone's trying to guess who the Secret Pro is, it's fair to say he or she may be on the water right at this point.
Yeah, as every other pro in the world is right now.
Yeah, I just thought I'd narrow it down a bit.
Yeah, good work.
Well,
unless Alistair's got any,
of course.
Unless Alistair's got any Secret Pro stuff that he could drop in.
I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Okay,
Jordan.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's just move on to, I guess, race results on the program. The World 470 World Champs are sort of kicking off today, effectively. So they had some practice races and stuff. I don't think things are going super well because when I checked this morning, the women's race was canned because they didn't make the time limit by the top mark. So I'm guessing it's pretty light. 4 nuts.
No, it was canned. It was all canned for the day.
Yep, 4 nuts.
They didn't get any results.
So that's going well.
Well, they couldn't even get any air routing going.
You need a little bit more than that. I think you need 12 before that happens, mate. You love that stuff, don't you?
I think it's crack.
Beautiful. All right. Now, we've got the world expert here. We're going to talk about the Tasar World Champs. They've just concluded in Hayling Island. Congratulations to Rob and Nick Douglas, who won their 3rd World Championships, and they won with a race to spare. And I must admit, I would like to talk about their scoreline. As a coach, the sort of scoreline they put up is the perfect scoreline. So, Alistair, what can you tell us? You must be the most informed person we've ever had when we come to Tasers.
I'm the man. I am your man. I'm the longest. I don't have a serving sailor in the class in the world. Literally,
really?
I got my first boat in 1978, and been continuously sailing them since. And nobody else has been in the class that long.
Right.
Anyway, so I finished the Tour de France and listening to it. That is not riding in it, and was able to get a decent night's sleep again. I thought, but then the Tasar World started, and each of the heats has been on Tack Tracker. And I've been sitting there watching all of the races live. So there's been a few late nights on that as well. It was a fantastic series. There was 67 boats from 7 countries from sailed at Hayling Island, 12 races across all conditions. As you said, Rob and Nicole were first with their 3rd Worlds win. They finished on 22 points. It was pretty tight. Second was James and Tara Berman on 25 points. And 3rd was James Peters and Charlie Darling from the UK on 29 points. So it ended up being pretty tight. Rob and Nicole won it. Simply, I put it down to one thing. They won it with superior downwind speed. They would get to the top mark in 7th or 8th position, and by the wing mark, and certainly by the bottom, they were 2nd or 3rd or 1st. The Bermans, I don't know if you know, you know James and Tara. The Bermans were the fastest in heavy air. By far, and I've never seen anybody sail a Tasar as fast as they do to windward in a breeze. And interestingly, in race 5, it blew so hard that they both broke their masts in the race, while Berman was 1st and the Douglases were 8th.
Oh, is that what happened?
There was carnage. There was 30 boats finished out of the 67. I actually did my homework on it. If that race had continued and they'd finished 1st and the Douglases 8th, Berman would have been on 20 points with Nicole and Rob 22, but then that doesn't allow for the fact they didn't sail the last race. So it would have been absolutely desperately close.
Wow.
It was a great series. But it was their downwind speed. Berman upwind in a breeze. James Peters, the Englishman, he won 3 out of 3 on a lighter day. And a real highlight for me, guys, was that the last heat, this is last night, was won by a Grand Master woman, Judith Massey, from the UK, with her crew Sophie Mackley. with James Berman hot on her heels the whole way around, and I was watching it, and they couldn't get past her. She finished about 15th overall and won the last heat. So the series had a lot of interest.
Oh, good. It's good summary. It sounds very passionate about it. So what do you love about the Tasar, mate?
Well, I like the fact that I don't have to take it too seriously, and I've always got a competitive boat and can step up to it and put in the effort that I feel like. I mean, the fact that it's one design, never changes, never becomes out of date. Lightweight, fast, demanding for a skipper, but can sail it with somebody that doesn't necessarily have to know a lot. My wife Tracy is pretty much a beginner, and we sail together. We don't take it as seriously as we used to, but we have a ball. And a bit like Ronstan, great culture. Great class culture with the Tasars.
Yeah, they're a good bunch. I do quite like them. I've always thought the Tasar was a good boat because the crew does actually have to do a lot of the boat speed work. You know, they've got the main control. The van comes to the crew. In fact, they've got a lot of the controls come to them. So you really, if you want to win, you need a good crew. So maybe it's Tracy's fault that you're not winning at the moment.
I was just going to say I did a bit of time in the Tasars with my partner at the time, and you mentioned earlier that that can get a bit tricky sailing with someone close to you. So I can agree with you on that one. That wasn't that easy.
Is that one of the factors, Brett, why she's no longer your partner? Is it?
No comment.
I'm just some great fights on the water. Great blues.
I'm looking at.
She jumped off at one stage. She was steering. She jumped off. I was talking to myself going upwind. Upwind, and I'm wondering why I'm tacking.
Wow.
She's just decided to get off.
Hey,
bless her.
In the results there, I see Skip Lisserman's name. Is that the great Skip Lisserman?
He's a great mate of mine. He's actually a fellow board member of Australian Sailing. His brother Lloyd has been in the class for a long time, and asked his brother Skip of America's Cup fame. He was on Australia too. Asked Skip to crew for him. They've put in quite a training program, and I think they've discovered how hard the Tasar is to win in. They've come, I think, 13th. Had some reasonable results, but found it pretty challenging, and they've got some real appreciation for the top of the fleet.
That's cool.
But he's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah. So what about where are Rob and Nick finding their downwind speed? What is it? What are they doing?
Yes. Well, they obviously very, very good technique. But I did notice in the photo of them that Nick is very, very lean, very trim. They're professionals. They take it so seriously, and it includes their physical conditioning. They would have been extremely fit. The races, a lot of the races were sort of marginal planning conditions, and you've just got it. You can't be heavy. James and Tara Berman are pretty heavy, which is one of the reasons they're great in a blow. They're not that quick downwind. People like the Ridgeways, who finished 6th, up in weight. Longbottom, who was 4th. Some of the bigger people. When you get around that top mark, and it's marginal planning conditions down to reach, the minimum weight of the class crew weight is 130 kilos. I think the optimum across all conditions is 140, and people like James and the Bermans and Ridgeways are 150. So I've been there. You get hammered. Yep. You get hammered. You got to be light. And I think if you look at the fact that the series went light towards the end, people like the English, the Darlings, Charlie Darling and James Peters and Robin Nicole, who are a bit lighter. And the lady who won the last race, they were benefiting from being on the lower end of the weight range.
Yep. Okay.
But I'm not taking anything away from Rob and Nicole. They absolute true professionals. They sailed a fantastic series, and like you said, their worst result was a third.
Yep.
Not counting the DNF.
Yep. So if you're looking at it from a coaching perspective, if you look in second, the Bermans, they had 4 firsts, whereas the Douglases had 1 first. What they had, as Alistair said, is nothing out past third. So, from a coaching perspective, it's a really good thing to see that, because your teams are not taking risk. They're just making smart tactical decisions. To win a race, you have to often take a little bit of risk unless you've got a massive speed advantage on anyone. So to see that scoreline at the very top, that's what you want to see as a coach. Exactly what they've just done. So, yeah, good work. Great to see. So I was just going to say I was going to be a little bit cheeky. I wonder if Nick will let me get away with this one. Is there downwind speed because Nick's just chatting away downwind? There's a lot of air.
I was going to say, is she commentating around the course?
Taking a few selfies.
She actually created quite a storm because she was somewhat critical of the decision to continue the racing on the day that all those masts blew up, and there was a big chat on Sailor Girl about that, with quite an argument about whether that race should have been blown or not, and it took a while for that one to blow over, I can tell you.
Right, right.
Because some people felt that the race committee was being criticised.
Okay. All right, let's move on because that was a good one. Another good one, huge one in the world of sailing, is we had the start of the Fastnet. We're probably we're just under a day since the start, and that was good. Everyone catch that?
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular seeing all those 400 boats in the Solent and just fighting their way out past the Needles and what have you. And, I think we're going to see the first finishes in not too long at all with the big old teams. And I noticed Massif has just snuck ahead of Gitana in the old teams. But what's interesting is Sedabo is quite a ways behind those two. Yeah. So she probably hasn't jumped out of the blocks as quick as everyone would have thought, which is, in reality, probably that is how it is going to go.
Actually,
in saying that,
because you saw... sorry, Bossy. I was just going to say, you saw from the start... I just need to run on something here that's just quite interesting, because we did see at the start that Sedabo got the best start, and then Gitana went over the top, and now, of course, Massif, Sedabo looked a bit sticky to me, but they're in plenty of wind now, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I did forget a quick point of interest that I quickly want to throw. This is a bit interesting in that when we're talking about Jessica, she got a lot of support from a guy by the name of Bruce Arms, who's a sort of ocean sailor here, and he's got the record for going around Australia single-handedly, solo record for going around Australia of 42 days, 5 hours and 33 minutes. Does anyone remember what the record for going around the world is solo?
42 days.
Correct, 42 days, 16 hours, 40 minutes
Exactly.
by Massif. I just thought that was hilarious when I saw that. That was just, I had to bring that one up. I'd forgotten about that point. So, yeah.
The little things, eh?
The little things. But the wind, if you actually look at it, I think most of the monohulls are still coming out around the bottom and haven't got out in the channel, but there's plenty of wind. Once they get out, they'll be charging. There's plenty of wind there, and the trimarans are in it and absolutely smoking. I'm seeing numbers well above 30 knots on a few of them, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the big boats, Scallywag's got their nose out in front, closely followed by Rambler and Wizard, who are basically bow to bow. So...
Rambler currently showing as 300 metres in front of Scallywag.
Yeah. But something which is pretty cool here.
200 metres to
Wizard. If you look at the IMOCAs, the Pip Hare is currently laying in second position. So with a very old boat compared to all these new boats. So be interesting to keep an eye on that. Pretty sure the new boats are going to leg it once they start getting a bit of breeze. But she's done very well there to hold that position all the way to the bottom of the UK.
There's a legend of our sport right there. She's a absolute trooper. Sailing on one of my minis many years ago, and the autopilot died, and she steered the whole way, and unbelievable. It was a 3-day race, so unbelievable effort.
Yeah, cool. So. I mean, there's plenty of good... I think we're going to get some pretty good video, and there is live updates on their website if you want to go and follow that. So that's a good one. There's plenty coming on, and I reckon those trimarans are going to come smoking, and there might be a few midnight collisions. Do you reckon?
I'll tell you what, there's going to be a few people on watch, put it that way.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's move on. Round the grounds. Brett, we charged you with finding the results for the 6 metres. I don't think they've actually got any at the moment. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely no chance.
Beautiful boats, though. We're still in...
I even downloaded the app And it says race results will be uploaded at the end of each day, and we're 3 days in, nothing. So, interesting setup. Yeah, they're crazy looking boats, aren't they?
Beautiful. Another class that I did notice, because Alistair, I don't know if you probably haven't heard all our baton, but we seem to have a common love for the meter boats. We've had the 12s, the 8s, the 6s. I don't know how you feel about them, but we do have an absolute love for them.
Me too. Yes, when I was a teenager, I would lie awake in bed with my transistor radio, listening to the America's Cup coming in from Newport, and as a result of that, Sir James is my sailing hero, and I've had a chance to get to know him well later in life, which has been great. But yeah, the old 12 metres were wonderful boats. That's when the America's Cup was at its peak, I think, in terms of interest. I'm not saying I don't like the way it's gone. I think there's phenomenal things happening all the time. But those were good old days for the America's Cup. And the 6s and the 8s and the other meter boats look really sweet. Love them.
What has happened, one we missed, and it's probably my favourite ones, the 5.5 metres. They've just had their world champs. And there was a couple of Aussie teams went over for that. So John Bacon and his team was there. G'day, John, if you're listening. If not, I'll come and smack you in the head. Martin Cross and his team were there as well. They didn't trouble the scorers for the win. It was Christian Niergaard, Johan Barn, and Trond Solly Seither from Norway.
Oh, the winning team.
Yeah. So congratulations.
You love those ones, do you?
I've actually got pretty good technology here, and I can actually see Jordan. I could see it thinking as it was coming out of its mouth.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that too.
Me too.
All right. So what else to watch this week? I guess is the conclusion of the Fastnet, which will be pretty exciting.
Yep. I'll be stuck to the yellow brick tracker. I might get a little distracted this afternoon at the Grand Prix, but I'll be keeping an eye on things for us from that side.
Enjoy. Good man. We'll love that.
I'll chase up my 6 metre Worlds app and see if that can upload some numbers for us.
Good man. We're going to have the 470 World Champs. We'll conclude before we do our next broadcast. Alistair, you got any tips? Because you'd be close to the Australian sailing team. Any secrets?
Well, certainly Matt Belcher and Will Ryan, they best in the world. Matt's won 8 Worlds.
Who are they, sorry, Matt?
Matt Belcher's he's only won 8, and Will's only won 5. They would absolutely be favourites. But I've had a good chat to Victor Kovalenko about this, and they've been really dominating lately, and he doesn't like that so much. He wants them to keep their heads below the parapets a bit. So if they don't go as well as might be expected, there could be a bit of management going on there. Chris Charwood and Josh Dawson are also sailing for Australia. Nice to see them do well. And in the women, I think there's 52 men's 470s in the women. There's 38 of them, and we've got Nia Jerwood and Monique Devery. It'd be great to see them do well as well.
Very cool.
But definitely Matt and Will, you'd put your house on them, I would think.
I know the Japanese. I always say Japs and I get in trouble for it. The Japanese have put a huge effort in the 470 class. I mentioned that last week. What I'm interested to hear from you is the fact that Malcolm Page, ex-470 champion, and of course started out, he learned his skills sailing 505s.
You had to get that in, didn't you?
I've never done it before. I just decided to do it tonight. I'm not sure why. I've always kept that bit quiet, my passion for the 5.0s. But
yeah, you have very quiet, very quiet.
So, how do you feel about Pagey over there leading the US team as coach?
He's a very good mate of mine, and in fact, he's a cyclist like us, and he and I rented a place on Alpe d'Huez a couple of years ago, and we went riding together every day for a week, which was fantastic. So we're good mates. Look, he took a good job, high performance director of which is the Australian equivalent of it at the US Olympic team. I wish him luck, and not too much, obviously. But he's
it's hard, isn't it?
He's up against it. That US sailing's got half the number of members of Australian sailing. It's got half the budget, and America's gone from winning an Olympic medal in every single class in 1984 which I don't think has ever happened. I don't think any country's ever done that. Every single class they medalled in, to winning one bronze over the last 2 Olympics, and that was in the Finn. So the US sailing has really, really dropped away. I think Mel has got the job ahead of him.
Yeah.
To pick it up by its bootstraps and make something of it. He would have pretty modest expectations. I hope for his own sake that he does well, but he's got a tough gig.
Yeah, and we all hope that too, because he's one of the great guys.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So go well, Malcolm. Not too well, bud. We're happy for some silvers for you. What else? We got the Women's Match Racing World Champs starting this week in Sweden, so that'll be exciting. I love a bit of match racing. Good luck. Any tips there, Alistair? Have we got anyone going over? I haven't checked, actually. Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Okay. Can't add anything there. I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. Bicey will send you up. You're near Sweden. You go.
Yeah, no, a couple of my greatest loves as well. Women and match racing.
In which
Good
order?
point. Yeah.
And he has to be sponsored by a beer company, and you got all three.
I think we're going to be able to fix that.
Hey, Jordan, I'm just looking at your list of round the grounds here. You've got the 505 European Championships on there too, mate.
Well, it is the second biggest event. Look, what in
sailing?
in sailing? No, in the 50 class. Let me just say, one of my great friends, and I think Alistair will jump in on this. It's the president of the 505 class. Is what's his name? One of my great friends, Michael Quirk. No,
Quirkles.
Quirkles, the great Quirkmeister. And so he's doing an amazing job with that class on their website and trying to. So, yeah, just put that on there. 50 is a great boat. If you've never sailed a 50, then, you get out there and have a go. You'll love it.
There's some real legends in that class. What great people have been involved with it over the years. And to have a boat that was designed back in the 50s, 55, was it that long ago, Jordan?
Yep.
Old boat, and to still look so great.
Jordan actually remembers the first one when it came out.
It'll be so strong. I think it's a great class.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, we're coming to the end of this.
Jordan.
Hey, go on, BP.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say that's the boat Jordan came in after mowing the lawns and said he was going to sail around the world in, right?
No, I think I was sailing some tiny little thing like a mirror or something in those days. I can't remember. But anyway, right. Time to move on. We have gone for the world's longest podcast at the moment. It's been too much fun with Alistair on board. If you do want to contact us and complain, just send money to the address. If you're not happy with what we're doing, just send money and we'll respond accordingly. If you like it, feel more than free.
Actually, the complaints box has been relocated, and it's actually located on the top of Uluru. So,
for any non-Australians there, that's a very topical statement. So, anyway, we will. So if you want to rate us, give us 5 stars. That helps with expanding our base. If you want to contact us, just send us a message on. What are we on?
Messenger, Facebook.
Yeah, Messenger and
Barkarati, mate. We're Barkarati.
Yep, and hashtag. Barkarati as well. We'll get to it straight to us as well. All right. The last thing, guys, before we sign off. So everyone I've worked out is just, I throw the quiz question up there and then people go and do a Google search and just put the answer up there. So that's kind of pointless. I want to move on from that. I want to get people being creative. So that whole idea about let's get 2 mates' names together and come up with a company name. But with the quiz question this week, I want you to do a bit of research and see some fun stuff. So you're going to learn from doing this one. There is no right answer. It's just the funniest answer. What is the most unusual event that has ever been part of the Olympics? Alistair's dying to answer because he's got him.
Look. Okay, I'm going to kick this one off.
Yeah.
To me, it's not the most unusual event, but it's the stupidest athletic event ever invented.
Yep.
And that's Olympic walking. To me, walking, it's like a contest to see who can whisper the loudest. It's like
it's exactly what it is. In a room,
you start whispering, and somebody says, "Hang on, you talked." Yellow card. Right? It's just.
I can take that one step further. I can take that.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. I can take that one step further and say it just looks absolutely just terrible, doesn't it? Really, as well.
I'm not saying a word.
They look like they look. It looks ridiculous as well. But I think it's the dumbest sport. There you go. There's my contribution.
It's a good answer. I do have a couple of mates that represented Australia in the walking. So.
And this will go straight to them.
But yeah, if you do go and do a bit of research on this one, you will just have the time of your life looking at some of the sports that have been at the Olympics. This is a great little afternoon waster. You probably spend a good 20 minutes, half an hour reading some of this stuff, and you'll have a good laugh. So enjoy it and come back with what you think is the funniest one. We'll just put a note up on the Facebook page, and you can add that there. All right, that's it. That's it from me. Anything else from any of you gentlemen? Bicey first. Yep. You still there, boss?
Gonski.
Yeah, sorry. I'm still here. Say again.
That's it from us. Is there anything you need to add before heading off to the Grand Prix?
No, all clear. Just a reminder, if my wife asks, I'm in business in Spain.
Oh, dear. BP, anything from you, my friend?
Mate, all good. I'd like to thank Alistair for his time tonight and joining us for the entire duration.
Yeah, absolutely. Alistair.
Yeah, here. Good to have you on, Alistair.
Thank you. Well, I'll just finish by saying, Jordan, Bicey and Brett, it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be on Bar Karate. It's been a hell of a lot of fun, and I love what you guys are doing.
Okay.
Wonderful. Keep it going.
Good man.
I'll tell all my mates about it.
That's exactly how you should do it. That's what everyone should be doing. Good man. All right, team. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a great one. This is the longest one ever, 1 hour and 21 minutes.
That's all my fault.
No.
Long form.
Wonderful.
Form. Love it.
Love it. We love it. Absolutely. As long as everyone else is loving it. And by the way, if you like the tune that's in and out, our own Brett Perry, that's his own recording.
Woohoo.
Yep. A great man. I don't know how you can buy it.
Yeah. No, I think what I'm going to do, I've thought about this. We'll via Bar Karate one night. We'll play the in its full duration. It's called Infinity. Beautiful.
Yep. Infinity. Yeah, it's a cracker. All right. Have a great week, everyone. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, Jordan. See you guys.
Running at night, jet through the sea.